Okay, so we started factoring in the last lesson. And today we're going to do a new form of factoring. It's called box and diamond. It's kind of fun as long as you follow a couple of rules and you understand what we're starting with. So it's important that you use box and diamond only when we're doing a quadratic polynomial because, or if you can get it into a quadratic polynomial, because it's what the form it has to be. Otherwise, there's other ways of factoring, okay? So remember, a quadratic polynomial is in this form. It's a squared term plus an x term or whatever, a single variable term plus a constant. And it's important that you know what those words mean. A squared term plus an x term plus a constant. And the quadratic polynomial is based only on A being the letter or number, I should say, multiplied by the x squared term. And B is the number multiplied by the x term. It does not include the variable. And the C term is the number that is a constant or has no variable with it. If you don't understand that and you aren't following those directions and those rules, you're never going to get this right and you're going to struggle with this concept. So you need to think about what I'm saying there. So when we are identifying our A, B, and C, that's all we're doing. We're just writing down what's my A, what's my B, what's my C. My C is my number without a variable. My B is the number that is multiplied by my x term. My A is the number multiplied by my x squared term. So what are my numbers? They are 4, 3, and 10. Now, if this was a -3 or a minus sign here, it would be a -3. And it's super, super important that you get that right. Okay, now, number 2 and 3. I'd like you to right now think about what numbers are in front of the variables and identify your A, B, and C. Pause the video while you do that and then come back and see if you got the same answers I did. It's important that you pay attention to the things that we've done in the past and identify the number in front of the term. So in other words, what's in front of that x squared term? What's in front of that x squared term? You know that there's an imaginary 1 there, okay? That's all I'm going to tell you. Come back and identify your A, B, and C for 2 and 3, and come back and check your answers. Okay, so it is super, super, super important that you know how to do this. You will notice that my A, B, and C are 1, +7, +12, because there's a 1 in front of this x squared. It is just the number in front of the squared term, just the number in front of the x term, and just the number that doesn't have a variable. It is important that you do not put letters here, okay? If you don't get this part of this, and some of you insist on putting letters here, it is because you're not listening to instructions, okay? You should have got 3, -1, and -17 here. If you do not do this correctly, you're going to be very, very, very frustrated as we start learning how to factor using what's called the box and diamond method. So last lesson, we factored by taking out the greatest common factor. Okay, well, not all quadratics have a greatest common factor. We can't always factor something out. So we need to use this method. So the box and diamond method is used when you cannot divide something out of each term or remove the GCF, the greatest common factor. Okay, so really, really, really important that you understand the format. We have to have a quadratic that we can't divide out a greatest common factor. And so instead we're going to use what's called the master product. My master product is A times C. So this is your master product. And understanding that is really important. And you're always going to put that master product. And again, the A times C, so we've got that AX squared plus BX plus C. So we're getting that by multiplying these two numbers. No variables, just the numbers. So we're getting this number here. So we're going to multiply A times C. We're going to write that number in this position. Then we're going to look at the number for B, and we're going to write it in this position. Okay? Now, the two numbers in the binomial that we're going to have, so these numbers here are going to add to B and multiply to A times C. Okay? Add to B and multiply to A times C. So there's some patterns that you need to know. If it's going to add to a positive and multiply it to a positive, then these two numbers are going to be positive, okay? If it's going to add to a negative, maybe I'll write the word negative there instead. If it's going to add to a negative, it is going to multiply and multiply to a positive, then both of my numbers are going to be negative. And if it is going to multiply to a negative, it's going to multiply a negative. We're going to look at, this is going to be positive and this is going to be negative. And whichever number has the bigger number, whichever the bigger number is. So the bigger number defines the sign. So this should be changed. Defines the sign. So if the bigger number is positive, it's going to be positive. If the bigger number, then the bigger number is negative, then that's where the minus sign is going to go. That will make more sense in a few minutes, okay? So that's if it multiplies to a negative. So, again, that will make more sense in a few minutes. So what do I mean by all this? So this is going to be super important for you to have out, okay? Make sure you have this out. And let's look at this. On each one of these problems, you're going to want to identify your A, B, and C. So if I go to this is my C. This is my A, and this is my B, right? Okay, my A, B, and C. So I said that in my diamond, this had to be this had to be A times C. That didn't have to be A at all. That had to be B. Okay, so my 5 is going to go here. And what's A times C? That's going to be 6. So A times C is going to be 6. We'll make that purple. A times C is 6. Okay. And now we need to look at two numbers that multiply to 6 and add to 5. Multiply to 6 and add to B, or add to 5. Well, one way you can do that is you can list out the factors of 6. So what numbers make up, multiply by 6, make up 6? 1 times 6, 2 times 3. Good. 2 and 3 add to 5, don't they? Okay. These are both positive, so if we use our chart, that's that first diamond. So this is going to be a 2, and this is going to be a 3. So now I can take and I can create my box. I can create my box, and my box is important as well. So in my box, I need to place things in certain positions. So this is always going to be my A. So what's A? It's 2. So it's the whole term, first term, 2x squared. This is always going to be my C. And these, you know what? I want to make those a different color. I'm sorry. Hold on. I want to make those red and green. So I want this to be my 2x squared because that comes from my a term. This comes from my c term. And then my 2x and my 3x go here. Okay? So inside my box comes from my diamond. This is b. This is a times c. These two numbers add to b and multiply to a times c, or multiply to my master product. Then I take and I fill in my box. Okay? And now I'm going to factor things out. Okay? So if I'm looking at this column here, this first column, what do these have in common? You could take out a 2x. Okay? If I'm looking at this column, what do they have in common? A 3, a positive 3, right? Okay, cool. If I'm looking at these two going across, what can I take out there? What do those have in common? They only have an x in common. And so here's the thing. Whatever this is and whatever this is have to multiply together to be this, okay? They have to multiply together to be this 2x squared. So 2x times x is 2x squared. Fantastic. Okay. 2x times what? 2x times what gives me 2x? Times 1. Okay? So now I have 1x plus 1. So now I have created my binomial. I've got 2x plus 3. And I've got 1x plus 1, or x plus 1, okay? And that, my friends, is my answer. I have now factored this quadratic using the box and diamond method. It is important to know where things go in the positions that they go so that you can get to this, okay? So, pay attention to that. Let's do another one. Okay, I've got 6x squared plus 11x plus 4. So, let's identify things. I've got my A. I've got my B. And I've got my C. So if I make my diamond, again, I'm going to take A times C, and A times C, 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, I'm going to write my B up here. So my B is 11, and I need to find the numbers that multiply to 24 and add to 11. So if I take the number 24 and I look at its factors, 1 times 24, that doesn't add to 11. 2 times 24 divided by 2 is 12. 12 plus 2, 12 minus 2, that doesn't work. Okay. 3. 3 times 8. Ooh, 3 times 8 adds to 11, right? 3 plus 8 is 11. So there we go. That's the factor that I need to use. So this is going to be 3x, and this is going to be 8x. Okay? So now I need to set up my diamond. I did my diamond, now I need to set up my box. Okay? It's always going to be a 4x4 box. This piece is always going to be my A plus its variable. This is always going to be my C. And this is always going to be what I have here. Okay, it doesn't matter what order. It could be 8x here and 3x there. Okay? So, take a look at that. Try and take out the common factors and I'll come back in a second. Okay, I'm hoping that you noticed going up here that there was a 2x in both the 6x squared and the 8x. You could take out a 2 and an x. And then I'm hoping that you noticed going this way that there was a 3x. Okay? So if this is 2x, what do I have to multiply 2x by to get 8x? Well, I have to multiply by 4. So I can take out a 4 here. And that makes sense because, look, there's a 4 in both of these. Okay? So I took out a 4. That was my greatest common factor here. 2x was my greatest common factor here. 3x was my greatest common factor going across on the top. And then there isn't a common factor here with the 3x and the 4. So I just take out a 1. Because 3x times 1 is 3x, and 4 times 1 is 4. And that all matches up. And so now I have factored it. Now, you're not done until you write this answer. So you have to write this down to get the final answer. Okay? So make sure you write that. All right. So both of those had to do with that first diamond in this. Go to that. This first diamond where everything was positive. Okay? Now let's talk about these. Okay, and you're going to try a couple of these on your own, of course. So let's look at this one. Here we have a -8 and we have a +12. So let's set up our diamond. First of all, here's our A, here's our B, here's our C. You can do this without me color coding now, right? So my A is 1, so 1 times 12 gives me 12. That's my A times my C. And then my B has to go up here. Now, look at this. This is a -8. Be careful with that. Be careful. Okay, -8. So, what multiplies to 12 and adds to -8? Again, you can write out your factors of 12. I like to start at 1 to 12. Nope, that doesn't add to 8. 2 times 6 multiplies to 12. I like to go in order like that. 1, 2, 3. So then there's 3 times 4. That would work too. But 2 times 6 multiplies to 8. Adds to 8. That's what we're doing. We're adding to 8. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to confuse you. Okay? So now, look here. If we go back to our, look at your, flip your page, and I know it has to add to a negative, so look, both my sides have to be negative, so that's a -2x times a -6x, right? That's my diamond, or -2 times, I guess we don't put the x there, okay? But we do in the box. So now if I set up my box, I'm not going to have enough room for my factors. If I set up my box, my A and its variable go here, so that's just x squared. My C goes here, +12. And then I have -2x and -6x. Okay? Right? Good. Now factor out your like terms. What do both of these have in common going across? They both have an x in common. Okay? What do both of these have in common going up and down? So going up and down here, what do this first column have in common? Again, an x, right? And x times x gives me x squared. Fantastic, I did that right. So x times what gives me -2x? X times what gives me -2? X, -2. Okay? So now I've got a -2 there. So I must have taken a -2 out of this 12 as well. So here's the kicker. What times x, what number here times x gives me -6x? -6. And now let's see if that's right. -6 times -12 gives me a -2 gives me a +12. Fantastic. That worked. And so now that is how I decide my signs of my numbers here in my binomial, that's my answer. I factored this because I took out my greatest common factor going up and down, going across, and going up and down. And everything works out to multiply the outside together to get the inside. Okay? I start with the stuff inside and then I take out that greatest common factor. All right. I would like to do number 7, and then you are going to try 8 and 9 on your own. So last example, right now I want you to label your A, B, and C, set up your diamond, set up your box, come back and see if yours matches mine. Okay, you should have got, this is what you should have got for your box and your diamond, did you? So you had your B here, your A times C was 20. The numbers that add to -9 are -4 and -5. Okay, I knew that these both needed to be negative because this was negative. And then I can plug that in. Okay, so now I can take my common factors out. Going up, well, I definitely have a 2x. Now, it might be a negative, but we're not sure. Okay? Going sideways, I definitely only have an x there. Okay. 2x times what gives me -4x? Well, it would be -2. Okay. And then -2 times what would give me a positive 10, and let's see, -5. Oh, what do these have in common? These going up and down. They definitely have a 5 in common. Is it going to be positive or negative? Well, this here and this have to multiply to a positive, so this is going to have to be negative. So think through some of that as you're factoring things out, and then you get x minus 2 equals, or times 2x minus 5. And then you're good. Here's how you can check that. X times x is 2x squared. Yep. X times -5 would give me -5x. So you just double distribute this and see if you get the same answer here. Okay, you should. All right, number 8 and 9. I'm going to get you started, and that's it. So number 8, we've got x squared plus x minus 20. Okay, so for your box, I am adding to B, which is a positive, and I am multiplying to a -20. So I'm multiplying to a negative. Okay, so you're going to use that last diamond on the front of our notes and think about what signs these are going to have to be. Okay, so do your 20. Figure out the factors that add to your imaginary ones, and then go from there. Okay, so try and figure this out. We're going to add to a 1. What are you going to have here? Okay, one's going to have to be positive, one's going to have to be negative. Which one's going to have to be which to add to -20? Think about that. Okay, and then on number 9, same thing. I am adding to B, which is a positive, and I'm multiplying to -24. So this is going to have to be a plus minus. So which is going to have to be which? Okay? Think about what you're doing. Try and figure this out. We'll talk about it in class, but you do have to have tried those two for you to be able to get full credit for your notes. It's fun. Try not to get just stressed out. Think about what's happening. Do your factors. So your master product here is going to be what? -72 is your master product here. So what are the factors of 72 that add to 14 on number 9? And then what are your factors of -20 Don't worry so much about the signs here, but what are the numbers that are going to add to a positive 1? Okay, so really they're going to subtract. Okay? All right, give those two a try. They're not that hard, but they are a little bit tougher than the other ones. And you can do them, though. You can do them. I've got faith. God bless. Come with those done. Let's come with some questions and go from there. Take care.